stop everything you're doing, allow me to interrupt your reading plans, and add these 3 mystery thriller books to your TBR ASAP. I was doing some work today getting ready for one of my favorite videos that I make every year, which is my predictions video for the Goodreads Choice Awards mystery thriller category. I like to compile a huge list of the popular mystery thriller books that came out this year, look at a lot of statistics about them, put them into a spreadsheet, and make predictions for what I think is going to make it into the top 20, the top 10, and be the #1 winner for the best mystery thriller book of the year. So I was getting started on that today. I was compiling my spreadsheet, and one of the first things that I do is I put the ratings in for the books, the average rating, because I can quickly go in and disqualify some books due to Goodreads rules of what is eligible for the Goodreads Choice Awards. It is only books that have a 3.50 rating and above that are even eligible to make it into the competition in the beginning anyways. And every year I find myself surprised by a couple books that have outrageously low average ratings and do not make it into the awards at all, even though they're some of the most popular mystery thriller books that have come out during the year. And when I was doing that today, a couple stood out to me that I just could not believe had as low of an average rating as they do. And I want to take this time now, while we still have a couple of weeks, we've probably got like 4-ish weeks, maybe 5 before the Goodreads Choice Awards begins, to let you know about these books. And if you have not read them yet, if they were on your radar, maybe they're already sitting on your shelf at home and you just haven't read it yet, take the time to read it now, give it a rating in Goodreads, and hopefully if more people do enjoy these books, it can bring the average rating up and give them a chance to actually make it into the awards. I'll begin this by saying as well, I rated all 3 of these books 3 stars personally myself, which I know is not like the best rating. I'm not obsessed with these. They weren't necessarily my top tier favorite books of the year, but a 3-star is a good rating. These were good mystery thrillers. I think the general public would enjoy them. I'm typically a more harsh rater on mystery thrillers. So these are all books that I think deserve a chance. The one that was most shocking to me is a book that I thought was better received than apparently it was by the general public, and that is Julie Chan is Dead by Leanne Zhang. Currently this book has a 3.45 average rating on Goodreads, so it's close. You know, if just some more people start reading it and enjoying it, it actually has a chance to reach that 3.50 threshold. And I thought this was being really well received. I know this was an Aardvark Book Club Book of the Month pick at one point. I feel like I've seen people really raving about it, at least on booktube, which I know is sometimes different from the general public, but I've seen generally like good reception for this book, which I guess did kind of surprise me because this book is a little out there. It is one of the more bonkers and ridiculous style thriller books. Those are what I typically enjoy. And like I said, this one only did get a 3-star for me, but as I think back on this book, and I've been taking pretty detailed notes on the books I've been reading this year, I was looking back at my notes for this book and just like rereading what happens in the plot. This was such a fun book. It was so fun. And I think if you're someone who's like burned out and tired of the same boring mystery thriller recipe over and over again, this one does something different. It is out there. In this story, you're following a character named Julie Chan, and she has a twin sister who she is estranged from named Chloe, and they live very different lifestyles. Julie does not have anything going for her. She's broke. She's just not feeling great about her life, but Chloe seems to have it all. She is this popular, rich influencer who just has this luxurious lifestyle. And one day, Julie ends up happening upon Chloe's dead body, and she sees that as an opportunity to step into Chloe's life, pretend she is Chloe, and live the glamorous influencer lifestyle, but things quickly turn dark and she realizes it's not all it looks like it is. My personal criticisms of this book at the time is when I started it, I was reading an ARC copy of it, so I wasn't seeing any reviews. I didn't know what to expect. I think this is the author's debut novel, and the writing initially in that first portion was reading a little bit more immature to me. I was reading more like a young adult type of book, which just kind of caught me off guard, took me a minute to get in the story. I'm also sometimes hesitant with influencer, rich people stories, but the second half of this book really took off for me. It goes in this crazy direction. It gets really ridiculous, and I think it's just a really fun time, and I think people could really appreciate that. At the time, one of the authors whose writing style I compared this to also has a book that came out this year that I think was a fun time that is currently not making the threshold, and that is Julia Bart's The Last Session. This is the sophomore novel from Julia Bartz, who is sisters, I believe, with Andrea Bartz, another popular mystery thriller author who you may know of. Julia Bartz's first novel, The Writing Retreat, was amazing. It's also ridiculous and bonkers. It tells a story of these writers going to a private writing retreat and things go so terribly wrong. I absolutely love that book and I gave it 5 stars. The Last Session is her sophomore novel. The follow-up from that. And this story is following a woman who ends up taking a trip into the desert and finds herself involved in this cult-like thing that's going on. It is also absolutely ridiculous. And currently this book has an average rating of 2.95, which is very low, and it has a very long way to go. So maybe this one is a hopeless endeavor. Maybe it's too far gone at this point. I can actually see why people were maybe not loving this one as much. It was something I pointed out in my review of this book. This was also an early copy that I had, and at the time I anticipated that people maybe wouldn't be as receptive to the cult aspect of this book. Julia Bartz takes risks in her writing. She's not afraid to just let the dark pieces of her mind really flow out onto the page and write some really crazy stuff. And when that's going out to the general broad public, I can see how maybe that wouldn't be the most well received. I also am usually not a huge lover of cult things for some reason. That's just not the type of subgenre that really grabs my attention all of the time. But this book had such visceral writing. It definitely makes you go on this journey with the character where it feels like you are tripping in the desert, having this wild experience, not knowing what's real and what's not, getting subsumed into this cult-like energy. So really a lot of similarities between this and Julie Chain is Dead. And I guess for some reason that's just not working for the people this year. But I wish it would, because I need more books like this. I don't want to keep reading the same mystery thrillers about a husband cheating on a wife, and then like someone goes missing, or the sister's been missing forever and then the sister comes back, or people go to a creepy house on an island and one by one they're getting killed. I just can't keep reading the same thing over and over and over again. I need these silly thrillers in my life. I want people to love them more so that publishing gives us more of them. Please give these books a chance. I just want to have a fun time. But if that's not for you, if you are not a lover of the ridiculous, zany, bonkers thrillers that completely go off the rails, if you do want something that is a little bit more conventional, has a little bit more of a classic feel, there was another pretty good one that came out this year that is not making this 3.5 threshold, and that is Riley Sager's novel With a Vengeance. This book has an average rating of a 3.38, and I'm kind of surprised it's that low, but I also do know people are pretty harsh on Riley Sager, including myself. I think Riley Sager has written some really exciting books in his past. There's something so popcorny about his style, but it's like a little bit of like an elevated popcorn read. He's known for doing a lot of twists, making his reading experience really fun. It's just not July anymore without a new Riley Sager book to read in the summer. And this book, which has got to be like his 7th or 8th novel he's published at this point, has more of a classic murder mystery style to it. So I think people, and myself kind of included, were maybe a little bit bored with this one. Maybe it felt a little bit safe. It wasn't what you go to Riley Sager for. But Riley Sager also, over the past couple of years, has been really polarizing for readers. Oftentimes his books will come out and they are very harshly like a 1 or a 5 star for most people. I've read all of his books and I've definitely been across that spectrum with him as well. I have some I love, I have some I despise, and people have really strong feelings about his work. So I don't blame him this year for being like, you know what? I'm just gonna write classic murder mystery on a train. We're gonna keep it safe. I'm gonna hit all the beats that one should hit. It'll be a revenge story. It'll be a good time. But I guess it didn't work because the average rating for this is quite low. But again, I think this is one that still has a chance of potentially improving if more people pick it up. And there's something in me that just wants to see Riley Sager succeed. He almost never makes it into the Goodreads Choice Awards. I think last year might have been either his first or second time making it into the awards with the book Middle of the Night, which I actually really did not like that one. That was one that I gave a 1 star, but it made it into the top 20. I think it ended up placing like 11th in the category as a whole. But I think With a Vengeance is much, much, much better than Middle of the Night was. So if anything's gonna make it in, With a Vengeance definitely should. This story is a historical murder mystery. It's set in 1942 where you're following this woman, Anna, who is gathering a bunch of people together on this train ride from Philly to Chicago. And she's purposely assembling all these people who have wronged her family in the past and led to the downfall of her family because she is set on getting revenge on them. But then very quickly in the journey, something goes awry and it turns into a murder mystery / survival situation as they are all isolated and stuck on this train together. It's a very classic story. I mean, who doesn't like a murder mystery on a train? And I really just need to see more books in the awards this year that are not just Freida McFadden books. I don't want to see 4 Freida McFadden books in the top 20s of the Goodreads Choice Awards of the mystery thriller category. So I'm trying to throw these underdogs out. These were popular popular books. These are books that stand a chance. These are books that are doing different things, taking risks. Let's give them some attention. Let's give them a chance. If they're sitting on your shelves already, pick them up. You've got a couple weeks to read them and rate them on Goodreads. As for me, I'm going to be kicking off the rest of my Goodreads Choice Awards series very soon. I'm going to be going through making my predictions for what I think is going to make the top 20, top 10, and the #1 winner. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe and hit the post notification bell so you can be notified when I post. And if I did convince you to pick up any of these books, definitely let me know down below. And if you do go read them, let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoy them, because imagine you give them like a 2 or a 1 star and drag the rating down further. We can't do that. I mean, be honest. If you read it and you rate it, do what you must do, but I'm hoping that maybe some of this can help some of these books get a little extra boost right here at the end. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.